I never thought I'd be the type of person to snoop through my husband's things, but there I was. Hands trembling as I scrolled through his credit card statements at 2 a.m. The soft glow of my laptop screen illuminated our home office, and with each mysterious charge I found, my stomach twisted tighter. My name is Margot, and until tonight, I thought I had the kind of marriage other people envied. 15 years together, a beautiful 7-year-old son, and what I believed was open communication about everything, especially money. The numbers on the screen told a different story. Multiple charges at high-end restaurants where Ethan claimed he was sourcing ingredients for our family restaurant. Hotel charges in neighboring cities when he said he was at supplier meetings. The most recent one was from yesterday, for $100 at some place called La Rose that I'd never heard of. I heard footsteps on the stairs and quickly closed the laptop. Ethan appeared in the doorway, his chef's coat still on from closing the restaurant. "You're still up?" he asked, loosening his collar. "Everything okay?" I forced a smile. "Just finishing some work emails." "How was service tonight?" "Slow." He ran a hand through his dark hair. "Mom thinks we should change the menu again, make it more modern. But you know how I feel about messing with my dad's recipes." The mention of Dorothy, my mother-in-law, made me wince. She'd been pushing for changes at the restaurant for months, but Ethan wouldn't hear it. Now I wondered if his resistance to change was the least of our problems. "Actually," I said, "I wanted to talk about the business accounts. There are some charges I don't understand." His expression shifted, so subtle I almost missed it. A tightening around the eyes, a slight clench of his jaw. "What charges?" "La Rose?" "The Marriott in Springfield last week." I kept my voice steady, giving him room to explain. "Oh, those." He waved dismissively. "Just some meetings with potential investors. I was going to tell you once things were more concrete." "Investors?" I stood up, my chair scraping against the hardwood. "Since when are we looking for investors?" "Margot, please. It's late, and I'm tired. Can we not do this now?" "When should we do it, Ethan?" "When the restaurant's completely underwater. When we've burned through Luke's college fund." He stepped back like I'd slapped him. "Is that what you think of me?" "That I'd gamble with our son's future." I don't know what to think anymore. I pulled up the statements on my phone. These charges don't look like business meetings. They look like... Like what? His voice had an edge I'd never heard before. "Go ahead, say it." Before I could respond, a small voice came from the hallway. "Mommy? Daddy?" Luke stood there in his dinosaur pajamas, clutching his stuffed triceratops. My heart sank. How much had he heard? "Hey, buddy," Ethan said, his tone instantly softening. "Just grown-up talk. Let's get you back to bed." As Ethan led Luke away, I sat heavily in my chair, mind racing. The charges, the lies, his defensive reaction, it all pointed to something I didn't want to face. But there was more going on here than just secret meetings or hidden financial troubles. I could feel it in my bones. My phone buzzed with a text from Claire. "You up?" "Just saw Ethan's car at that new wine bar downtown. Thought he was working late." I stared at the message, my hands going cold. He'd just walked in wearing his chef's coat, claiming he'd been at the restaurant. Another lie. The question wasn't whether my husband was hiding something anymore. The question was, how far was I willing to go to uncover the truth? And more importantly, was I ready to face what I might find? Sunday dinners at Dorothy's house used to be a tradition I looked forward to. Now, watching my mother-in-law fuss over Ethan while pointedly ignoring my attempts to join their conversation. I felt like an outsider in what was supposed to be my family. "The carbonara is different tonight," Dorothy said, her fork hovering over her plate. "Ethan, darling, did you change your father's recipe?" I caught the slight tremor in Ethan's hand as he reached for his wine glass. "Just trying something new, Mom." "New isn't always better," she replied, shooting me a look that made her meaning clear. I'd been pushing for menu updates at the restaurant for months. Luke, sitting between us, pushed his pasta around his plate. "I like it, Daddy." "Thank you, buddy." Ethan's smile didn't reach his eyes. "At least someone appreciates innovation." "Speaking of innovation," I said, seizing the moment, "I've been looking at the restaurant's numbers. If we updated the menu and marketing strategy..." "Here we go again," Dorothy interrupted. "Always with the numbers and strategies. The restaurant was doing fine before you started meddling, Margot." "Mom," Ethan warned, but his defense felt hollow. I set down my fork. the metal clinking against fine china. The restaurant is hemorrhaging money, Dorothy. Last month's profits barely covered the utilities. And whose fault is that? Dorothy's voice dripped with accusation. Ever since you pushed Ethan to hire that new sous chef. I think it's time for dessert. Ethan cut in, standing abruptly. Luke, wanna help me serve the tiramisu? After they left, Dorothy leaned forward. My son had everything under control until he started filling his head with modern nonsense. The restaurant is his legacy, his father's legacy. A legacy of debt won't help anyone, I replied, keeping my voice low. Have you seen the credit card statements? The mysterious charges? Something flickered across Dorothy's face. Concern? Recognition? Before her mask of disapproval returned. Ethan knows what he's doing. You need to trust him instead of trying to control everything. Before I could respond, Luke came bouncing back with a dessert plate. Nana, look what Daddy made. The conversation shifted, but I couldn't shake the feeling that Dorothy knew more than she was letting on. Throughout dessert, I watched her and Ethan exchange meaningful glances, speaking in that shorthand that mothers and sons develop over years. Later, as we were leaving, Dorothy pulled Ethan aside while I helped Luke with his coat. Their whispered conversation carried just enough for me to catch fragments. Careful with the, she's getting suspicious. Your father would understand. My phone buzzed. Another text from Claire, that wine bar. Just found out it's owned by someone named Isabella Romano. Ring any bells? The name hit me like a punch to the gut. Isabella Romano, Ethan's high school sweetheart, the one who got away. The one who'd moved back to town 6 months ago. Ready to go? Ethan appeared beside me, keys jingling in his hand. Actually, I said, I need to stop by the office. Year-end reports due tomorrow. The lie tasted bitter on my tongue, but no worse than the ones he'd been feeding me. On a Sunday night? Dorothy's disapproval radiated across the foyer. Really, Margot, family should come first. I met her gaze steadily. Sometimes protecting your family means working when you'd rather not. The drive home was silent except for Luke's soft snoring in the back seat. Ethan stared straight ahead, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. I watched his profile in the passing streetlights, wondering when my husband had become a stranger. As we pulled into our driveway, he finally spoke. I need to go back to the restaurant. Emergency with the walk-in cooler. I nodded, already pulling up the wine bar's location on my phone. Don't stay out too late. He hesitated, hand on the door handle. For a moment, I thought he might confess everything. Instead, he just said, don't wait up. I watched his taillights disappear around the corner, my resolve hardening. Tomorrow, I'd visit this wine bar myself. It was time to find out exactly what kind of legacy my husband was really protecting. La Rose turned out to be exactly what I'd feared, an intimate wine bar with mood lighting and cozy corners perfect for secret meetings. I sat at the bar, nursing a glass of Chianti, when I spotted them through the window, Ethan and Isabella. Walking arm in arm down the street like they were starring in their own romantic comedy. Claire squeezed my arm. You don't have to watch this. Yes, I do. My voice sounded hollow even to my own ears. I need to know exactly what I'm dealing with. They didn't come inside. Instead, they stopped at the corner, heads close together in conversation. Isabella reached up to straighten Ethan's collar, a gesture so intimate it made my stomach turn. Then she handed him what looked like a thick envelope. That's not a love letter, Claire murmured. Too big. I was already pulling up our joint banking app. The notification hit me like a slap, a transfer of $50,000 from our savings account, processed just hours ago. My hands shook as I dialed Ethan's number. He answered on the third ring, street noise in the background. Hey, I'm at the restaurant. Stop lying. The words came out sharp enough to make nearby patrons turn. I can see you right now with Isabella. What's in the envelope, Ethan? Silence stretched between us. Then, where are you? Where's our savings? I countered. The $50,000 you transferred today? More silence. Then I can explain everything. Meet me at the restaurant. No more private meetings. You want to explain? Come home. Now. 20 minutes later, we sat at our kitchen table, the same one where we'd planned our wedding, celebrated Luke's first words, mapped out our dreams. Now it felt like an interrogation room. Isabella's helping me save the restaurant, Ethan said, the envelope sitting between us like a bomb. She's buying in as a partner. A partner? The word tasted like acid. When were you planning to discuss this with your actual partner? Your wife? You wouldn't understand. You've been trying to change everything about the place. Because it's failing. I grabbed the stack of bills I'd collected. We're drowning in debt, Ethan. And instead of facing it together, you're making secret deals with your high school girlfriend. She understands the restaurant business. She respects tradition. She respects tradition? I laughed, the sound brittle. Is that what you tell yourself when you're having dinner with her instead of your family? When you're lying to your wife and son about where you are? His face darkened. Don't bring Luke into this. Luke's already in this. Every penny you're gambling on your precious traditions is coming out of his future. Ethan stood abruptly, chair scraping against the floor. I'm trying to secure his future. The restaurant is his inheritance. The restaurant is a money pit. I opened the envelope, spreading documents across the table. And this? This isn't a partnership agreement, Ethan. It's a buyout offer. The color drained from his face. What? Isabella's not trying to save your father's legacy. She's trying to buy it out from under you. Turn it into one of her trendy wine bars. I watched the realization hit him. Did you even read what you were getting into? He snatched the papers, scanning them with growing horror. This isn't. She said. She said what you wanted to hear. I stood up, suddenly exhausted. Just like you've been saying what you think I want to hear. How's that working out for everyone? The front door opened, Claire, bringing Luke back from their ice cream run. His happy chatter filled the house, and I watched Ethan quickly gather the papers, stuffing them out of sight. More secrets. I asked quietly. More lies. He met my eyes for the first time all evening. I'll fix this. No, I said, hearing Luke's footsteps on the stairs. I'll fix this. Starting tomorrow, I'm taking control of all our accounts. If you want to throw away your father's legacy, you'll have to do it without destroying our son's future. You can't. Watch me. I turned toward the stairs, plastering on a smile as Luke appeared. Hey, sweetie. How was ice cream with Aunt Claire? As Luke launched into an excited description of his Sunday, I caught Ethan's reflection in the window, lost, angry, and for the first time, afraid. Good. He should be afraid. Because this wasn't just about saving our money anymore. This was about survival. The bank statement stared back at me from my laptop screen, each transaction like a knife twist. College fund? Gone. Emergency savings? Drained. Joint accounts? Nearly empty. My hands shook as I clicked through the history, systematic withdrawals going back months, all traced to accounts I'd never seen before. Claire set a coffee mug in front of me. How bad is it? He's taken everything. My voice sounded distant, hollow. Almost $200,000, siphoned off bit by bit. For the restaurant? I laughed, a harsh sound that surprised us both. No, these transfers. They're going to personal accounts. Investment schemes. And get this, a down payment on a property in Isabella's name. The doorbell rang, making me jump. Through the window, I saw Dorothy's Mercedes in my driveway. Perfect timing. I've got this, I told Claire, squaring my shoulders. Could you check on Luke upstairs? Dorothy burst in before I could reach the door, brandishing her phone. What have you done? Ethan's beside himself. Funny, I was about to ask you the same thing. I pulled up the bank statements. Did you know about this, Dorothy? All these withdrawals. She barely glanced at the screen. A man has the right to protect his business. His business? I turned the laptop toward her. Show me which of these transactions was for the restaurant. The crypto investments? The property in Isabella's name? Dorothy's face flickered, just for a moment, but I caught it. She knew. Ethan's under tremendous pressure, she said, smoothing her designer skirt. If you'd been more supportive? More supportive? The words came out like ice. I've supported him through failed menu changes, through hiring his deadbeat friends, through every misguided decision. But this? I gestured at the screen. This is theft. Don't be dramatic. Luke's college fund, Dorothy. Your son stole your grandson's future. That landed. She sank into a chair, her carefully maintained facade cracking. He promised he would replace it. Said he had a sure thing. Like the sure thing with Isabella? I pulled up the property records I'd found. A waterfront restaurant space, purchased last week. Guess who's listed as co-owner? Dorothy's hands trembled as she reached for the laptop. No, he wouldn't. Already did. With our money meant for Luke's education, our retirement, our life together. I leaned forward. Still want to tell me how unsupportive I am? Footsteps on the stairs made us both turn. Luke appeared, clutching his backpack. Nah. Are you coming to my science fair? Dorothy's face crumpled. Not today, sweetheart. I need to talk to your father. After she left, I found myself staring at Luke's science fair project, a simple demonstration of cause and effect. If only adult life were that straightforward. My phone buzzed with a text from Ethan. We need to talk. Meet me at the restaurant. Not a chance, I typed back. You want to talk? Bring the account statements, investment records, and property documents. All of them. We'll talk here with our lawyers present. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, you're really going to do this? Destroy everything? I looked at Luke, now sitting at the dining table with Claire, working on his presentation. Everything that mattered was right here, and Ethan had risked it all for what? His ego? A second chance with an old flame? You destroyed it, I replied. I'm just documenting the wreckage. Another text came through, this time from Dorothy. He's not who I raised him to be. I'm so sorry, Margot. I closed my laptop, suddenly exhausted. The apology meant something, but it wouldn't replace Luke's college fund or repair our shattered trust. Mom? Luke called from the table. Can you help me practice my presentation? Of course, sweetie. I moved to join him, my resolve hardening with each step. Tomorrow, I'd call my lawyer. I'd freeze accounts, document everything, build a case. But right now, my son needed me to help him understand cause and effect, action and consequence. It was a lesson his father was about to learn the hard way. Claire's office felt like a sanctuary compared to the chaos my life had become. She pushed a steaming cup of tea across her desk along with a stack of papers that would change everything. The forensic accountant found more, she said, tapping the documents. A lot more. I flipped through the pages, each new discovery hitting harder than the last. Shell companies? Offshore accounts. My hands started shaking. How long has he been planning this? Based on the transactions? At least a year. Claire leaned forward. Margot, this isn't just about Isabella or the restaurant anymore. This is systematic fraud. My phone buzzed. Another message from Ethan. Luke keeps asking when I'm coming home. Can we talk? Just us. I switched off the phone. He's using our son now. Trying to guilt me into backing down. Because he knows you're close to uncovering everything. Claire pulled out another document. Look at this. The waterfront property? It's just the beginning. There are permits filed for 3 more locations, all under Isabella's company name. The pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. He's not just leaving me, he's building an empire with her. Using our money, our future. A knock at Claire's door made us both jump. Through the glass, I saw Dorothy, looking smaller somehow, clutching her designer purse like a shield. I'll give you 2 a minute, Claire said, squeezing my shoulder as she left. Dorothy sat heavily in the vacant chair. I found these in Ethan's old room. She pulled out a stack of letters, yellowed with age. Love letters. From Isabella. He kept them all these years. Why are you showing me this? Because I enabled him. Her voice cracked. All those years, defending him, blaming you. I wanted so badly to believe he was still my perfect boy. She pushed the letters toward me. But he's been planning this since she came back. The restaurant was never failing. He was bleeding it dry on purpose. The revelation hit me like a physical blow. Every argument about tradition, every resistance to change, it had all been a smokescreen. There's more, Dorothy continued. The night Frank, Ethan's father, died. He changed his will. Left controlling interest in the restaurant to Luke, not Ethan. He must have suspected something. And Ethan never knew? The lawyers were supposed to reveal it on Luke's 18th birthday. Dorothy's hands trembled. I should have told you sooner. Maybe then. My phone lit up again, Ethan, but this time with a photo. Luke at his science fair, looking lost without either parent there. The message below, he needs his family together. Don't make him pay for our mistakes. Something snapped inside me. Our mistakes. I stood up, gathering the forensic reports. No. This ends now. What are you going to do? I met her eyes steadily. I'm going to take everything, the restaurant, the properties, every penny he stole. Not for revenge, but because that money belongs to Luke. His father might have forgotten that, but I haven't. He'll fight you. Let him. I pulled up my email, copying my lawyer. I'm done protecting Ethan's ego at Luke's expense. If he wants a war, I'll give him one. Dorothy stood, straightening her shoulders. The family lawyers, the ones who know about Frank's will, I'll have them contact you. As she reached the door, she paused. Margot? Frank would have been proud to have you as a daughter-in-law. I'm sorry I wasn't. After she left, Claire returned, eyeing the scattered papers. You okay? No. I started organizing the documents, each page fueling my resolve. But I will be. First, I'm getting a restraining order to freeze all accounts and assets. Then I'm picking up my son from school. He deserves to know his mother chose him over everything else. And Ethan. I looked at the photo he'd sent, seeing it now for what it was. Not a plea for reconciliation, but another manipulation. Ethan chose his path 15 years ago when he kept those letters. He just needed Isabella to come back to finally walk it. I gathered my things, a strange calm settling over me. The time for tears and confusion was over. Now it was time for justice, not just for me, but for Luke and the legacy that should have been his all along. The restaurant was empty when I arrived, but the lights in the office were on. Through the window, I could see Ethan and Isabella huddled over paperwork, their heads close together. Just like old times, apparently. I pushed through the door, the familiar bell chiming overhead. The sound used to mean home. Now it felt like a warning. We're closed, Ethan called without looking up. Not to me. I dropped the stack of legal documents on their table. Not yet, anyway. Isabella straightened, her perfectly manicured hand still resting on Ethan's arm. I'll give you 2 a minute. Stay, I said. Since you're so invested in my family's future, you should hear this too. Ethan finally met my eyes. Margot, whatever you're thinking. I'm thinking about Luke's inheritance. I watched his face pale. The one your father left him. Interesting timing, wasn't it? Changing his will right before he died. Isabella's hand dropped from Ethan's arm. What inheritance? The controlling interest in this restaurant. I smiled, but it felt more like baring teeth. The one you two were planning to sell out from under my son. That's impossible. Ethan stood, papers scattering. Dad left everything to me. He didn't trust you. The words hit him like a physical blow. Maybe he saw something in you that I was too blind to notice. The selfishness. The lies. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. I gestured to Isabella. You never got over her. Fine, but stealing from our son? Destroying his future for your second chance at young love? Isabella gathered her things, avoiding eye contact. I should go. Running away again? I asked. That's your specialty, isn't it? 15 years ago, you left him. Now you're helping him leave his family. That's enough. Ethan slammed his hand on the table. You don't get to come in here and what? Tell the truth. I pulled out my phone, showing them the restraining order. All accounts are frozen. The properties, the restaurant, everything. Until we sort out exactly what belongs to Luke. Isabella's face went white. Ethan, you said this was all legitimate. It is. He turned to her, desperate. Baby, I can explain. The pet name hung in the air between us, and suddenly I was 17 again, watching them in the school hallway. History repeating itself, only this time with my son's future as collateral damage. I'll have my lawyer contact you, Isabella said, gathering her things. At the door, she paused. I'm sorry, Margot. I didn't know about Luke's inheritance. After she left, Ethan seemed to deflate. You've ruined everything. No, I said quietly. You did that all on your own. He sank into a chair, running his hands through his hair. What do you want? Money? The restaurant? I want you to look me in the eye and tell Luke why his college fund is gone. Why his father chose his high school girlfriend over his son's future. Don't bring him into this. He's already in this. My voice cracked. He's been in this since the day you started stealing from him. God, Ethan, he worships you. Wants to be just like his daddy. How's that working out for everyone? My phone buzzed. Claire, watching Luke at home. He's asking for both of you. What should I tell him? The message hit me like a punch to the gut. While we were here fighting over money and old flames, our son was waiting for his parents to come home. We're done here, I said, gathering the papers. The lawyers will handle the rest. Margot, wait. Ethan's voice was small. What if? What if I can fix this? Pay everything back. I turned at the door, taking in the restaurant, The faded photos of his father, the worn booths where we'd planned our future. The kitchen where he'd taught Luke to make pasta. All of it tainted now. Some things can't be fixed, Ethan. Some betrayals run too deep. Outside, the night air hit me like a slap. My phone buzzed again. Dorothy this time. Isabella just left town. Cleaned out their joint accounts first. I leaned against my car, laughing until tears came. Of course she ran. She always did. But this time, she took what was left of our family's future with her. The only question now was, how do you rebuild from absolute zero? The knock at my door came at midnight. I knew who it was before I opened it. Ethan had always had terrible timing. You can't just show up here, I said, keeping my voice low. Luke was finally asleep upstairs after crying himself out, asking why Daddy hadn't come to his science fair presentation. I got a job offer. Ethan looked haunted, his usually pristine chef's coat wrinkled and stained. In Seattle. Running a restaurant group. Congratulations. Is that all? He held up an envelope. It's from Isabella's company. They want to make it right. Full restitution, plus interest. Everything I took, paid back. I laughed, the sound harsh in the quiet night. Let me guess, you just have to move across the country to get it? I could send money back. For Luke. Make things right. Right. The word tasted like poison. You want to make things right by abandoning your son? Again. I'm trying to fix this. Lower your voice, I hissed. If you wake Luke. Mommy? The small voice from the stairs made us both freeze. Luke stood there in his dinosaur pajamas, clutching his science fair ribbon. Daddy? Ethan's face crumpled. Hey, buddy. I'm sorry I missed your presentation. Did you come to see my project? Luke's face lit up with hope so pure it hurt to watch. Actually, Ethan swallowed hard. I came to say, I'm going away for a while. For work. The hope died in Luke's eyes. Like when you went in meetings with Miss Isabella? The innocent question hit like a slap. Ethan staggered back as if physically struck. Luke, it's not. I mean, is it because I didn't win first place? Luke's voice trembled. I'll do better next time, I promise. No, sweetheart, I moved to the stairs, but Luke was already running back up them, his small feet thundering like my heartbeat. Luke, wait. Ethan called, but I blocked his path. You don't get to chase him now. Not when you're running away again. I'm not running. I'm trying to make things right. By taking Isabella's blood money? Trading your son for a fresh start. What choice do I have? His voice cracked. The restaurant's gone. Our savings are gone. At least this way. At least this way you get to start over with a clean conscience? I pulled out my phone, showing him the email I'd received hours earlier. Funny thing, Dorothy already contacted Isabella's company. Told them about Luke's inheritance, about the fraud. Want to guess how fast they withdrew that job offer? The color drained from his face. You didn't. I didn't have to. Your mother did. Turns out she's finally choosing her grandson over her son. A thud from upstairs made us both look up. Luke appeared again, dragging his suitcase, the one we'd used for our last family vacation, before everything fell apart. I want to go with Daddy, he announced, chin trembling but determined. Ethan broke. Luke, you can't. I mean, I'm not. Why not? Luke demanded, tears starting. You don't want me either? The question hung in the air like shattered glass. I watched Ethan's face as the full weight of his choices finally hit him, not in lost money or failed schemes, but in his son's broken trust. I'll always want you, buddy, he whispered. But sometimes daddies make mistakes they can't fix. Like when I broke Mommy's favorite vase? Luke asked. She was mad, but she still loved me. I caught Ethan's eye, saw the moment he realized what he was throwing away, not just his son's love, but his chance to deserve it. This is different, he said finally. Some breaks. They can't be glued back together. Luke dropped his suitcase, the thud echoing like a judge's gavel. Without another word, he ran to me, burying his face in my legs. Go, I told Ethan. But remember this moment. Remember what you chose. He stepped back into the night, leaving behind the envelope of promises he couldn't keep. As I held our sobbing son, I realized some victories feel more like funerals, necessary, but heavy with the weight of what's being buried. 6 months later, I stood in the renovated restaurant kitchen, watching Luke carefully roll pasta dough just like his grandfather had taught him in old home videos. Dorothy stood beside him, gently guiding his small hands. "Just like that," she said softly. "Frank would be so proud." The restaurant's grand reopening was tomorrow. Not as Ethan's failing tribute to the past, but as Luke's inheritance reimagined. The walls now displayed both old family photos and Luke's artwork. The menu balanced traditional recipes with modern touches. A bridge between generations, just like Frank had wanted. "Mom?" Luke looked up, flour dusting his cheeks. "Can we put Grandpa Frank's carbonara on the kids' menu?" "Of course, sweetheart." I caught Dorothy's eye, saw the tears, she quickly blinked away. "It's your restaurant, after all." The bell chimed up front. Claire's voice carried from the dining room. "Special delivery." Luke ran out, leaving his pasta half-rolled. Through the kitchen window, I watched him open the envelope Claire brought, his first official profit statement from the restaurant's trust. "Wow," he exclaimed. "That's a lot of zeros." "All going straight to your college fund," I reminded him, following him out. "Just like Grandpa Frank wanted." Speaking of Frank's wishes, Dorothy pulled out an envelope of her own. "The lawyers found this in his old files. It's for you, Margot." The letter was dated just days before Frank's death. "Dear Margot, I'm leaving the restaurant to Luke because he has your heart and my passion for food. But more importantly, because he has you to guide him. You've always seen what this place could be, not just what it was. Take care of my grandson's inheritance and don't let anyone, not even my son, stand in the way of progress. With love and trust, Frank." He knew, I whispered. About Ethan, about everything. Dorothy squeezed my hand. "Frank always said you were the daughter he'd wished for. Now I understand why." The kitchen door chimed again. This time, a familiar figure stood awkwardly in the entrance. Ethan, looking older somehow, holding a small package. Luke went still. "Daddy?" "Hey, buddy." Ethan's voice cracked. I found these in Seattle. Grandpa's original recipe cards." I stepped forward, but Dorothy beat me to it. "Perhaps those belong to the restaurant's owner now." Ethan nodded, holding the package out to Luke. "I thought maybe they could help you learn the family recipes. If you want." Luke took the cards carefully, then surprised us all by hugging his father. "Want to see my pasta?" Nana's teaching me, from the videos. As they disappeared into the kitchen, Claire sidled up to me. "You okay?" I watched through the window as Luke showed Ethan his rolling technique, Dorothy hovering nearby. The scene looked almost normal, except for the invisible walls between us all, walls built of broken trust and hard-learned lessons. "You know," I said, "I spent so long wanting revenge. Wanting to make Ethan hurt like we hurt." I touched Frank's letter in my pocket. "But this is better. Building something new from the ashes of what he destroyed." Speaking of building, Claire grinned, pulling up a news article on her phone. "Guess whose Seattle restaurant venture just went bankrupt?" I handed the phone back without reading further. That's not our story anymore. The kitchen filled with laughter, Luke attempting to teach Ethan the proper way to knead dough. The sound was complicated, like family itself. Not quite healing, but not quite broken either. Dorothy joined us, watching her son and grandson. Sometimes the best revenge is simply moving forward. "No," I corrected her gently. "Sometimes the best revenge is remembering what actually matters." Through the window, Luke caught my eye and beamed, flower-covered and happy. Tomorrow, we'd open the doors to a new chapter. Not the ending I'd once imagined, but maybe a better one, built on truth, trust, and a 7-year-old's unwavering belief in second chances. Even if some of those chances had to be earned one pasta roll at a time.